one, because occasionally I get asked to record a lecture and then I can never remember to record it. But if I record all lectures, then I always remember to record them. So only person on camera, although you can't see it somewhere, my talking head should be showing up there. You're not on camera. I'm on camera only, and only if I'm staring in front of my little webcam here. So, all right, so this is Calc 1. I'm Chuck Newberg, and you can simply call me Chuck. I don't take attendance other than the first few weeks, and that's just to make sure I got students on my roster correctly, and I'm not having ghosts, but I actually don't have an attendance policy. So, all right, so let me get to the syllabus to begin with. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm old. I've been teaching for a long time, probably longer than your parents have been alive. And so I'm used to the one-page syllabus, and now they're like 15 pages long, and I don't print them out. But they are online, and we'll go through the important stuff. So, all right, my office is 1410. I'm like first down on Faculty Row. Here's my email address. I recommend you email me through Canvas, using your student email if possible. I check my Canvas email long before I check my college email. College email has administrators emailing me, wanting me to do stuff, and I don't care what they email me. College email, Canvas email has students email me, and that's why I'm here. There, what I'm here for. I don't need the administrator to tell me something on a Friday. So my office hours are on Tuesdays 11 to 3, except for this Tuesday. I have an appointment. And Monday morning, 8 to 9, so right before this class. And a lot of times I'll be in here for my Friday morning office hours. I am in this classroom Monday through Thursday, the hour before. So if you show up like at 9:05 and think, oh, I'm going to go ahead and start in early, you might be walking in the middle of my class. But it happens, so I'm used to that. In addition to that, I'll be in the Math Advancement Center, the MAC, on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 2:30 to 4:30. And so that's 6 hours in there. The Math Advancement Center, the MAC, is a drop-in place. You can come in and study there. You can come in and ask people questions. I'll get a copy of the schedule posted on our Canvas site when it's a little bit more established on who's doing what. But I'm in there on Monday, Wednesdays, Friday, 2:30 to 4:30. That's like additional office hours, and plus my regular office hours as well. So I'm on campus quite a bit. Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday. Well, Monday and Wednesdays I teach pretty much straight from 8 to 2:30 every day of the week, except for Thursday. So, all right. Response time, generally within 24 hours I respond to email, especially if you email through Canvas. Most of that's they make us put on for internet, but I don't actually teach any internet classes. So, course information. This is Calc 1. We're a 4-credit class you've placed into here, and we meet every day of the week but Thursday. So Thursday is the day off from Calc 1, so those who are need to take a lab science can get your labs in on Thursdays. So, all right, this is Introduction to Calculus with Analytical Geometry, and topics include limits, continuities, derivatives, and some applications of the integral. This is basically the same Calc 1 class taught across the country. Same basic Calc 1 class I taught when I was at the University of Idaho as a grad student. It's a pretty standard course. So, all right. And you've either taken Math 1405 or 1450 or placed in here. So, and so forth, so forth, so forth. All right, textbook, required material. Early calculus, early transcendental. Anybody bring the book today? I didn't grab mine. Anybody? Okay, so yeah, here's the book. Thank you. It's heavy. This is heavy. It feels heavy. I don't care if you bring the book to class or not. Some of you are going to get ebooks, which is fine. I will, if I teach, we will be using this book for all 3 semesters. So if you want to buy this book, because this is like the one book you might be using more often than any other book, especially for the engineering majors and stuff, that is great. But if you want an ebook, that is great as well. I do not expect you to carry it to class. I'm never going to say, hey, open it up to chapter 8 and read this out of there. That's just not me. If I need to bring something out of the book, I have technology. If I really need to give you a graph to look at, I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to print it off and bring it so you can actually write on it and put notes on it and stuff. So why I love this textbook, I don't care if you bring it to class. So I'll bring mine to class. I just didn't bring mine to class today. So, but all right. So either an ebook or a hard copy. Anybody have the ebook just out of curiosity? How much was the ebook? 40 for one semester though. How much was the hard copy? A lot. Yeah, I can tell you this. There's very few books I still have left from my undergraduate days. My calculus book and my physics book are the only two. Oh, and I have one really good number theory book from undergrad days. All right. Goals for student success. I'll let you read these on your own time. They don't mean a lot to you now. They'll mean a lot more at the end of the semester. They mean a lot to the transferring institution. Although Calc 1, I doubt anybody looks at what's in the Calc 1 course because it's such a standard course. And this is why I don't print it out. All these stuff. Okay. Course policies. Late work. Generally, late work's not accepted. They make me try to sound meaner than I am. To me, that's a little loose, especially on homework. I'm not that strict on my homework. I like you to do it, but if it's due at 11:59 and you post it at 1:30 in the morning, that is not a big deal to me. Don't send me that panic email. Oh, I posted my homework 5 minutes late. Because one, I don't care that much, and two, it's 5 minutes late. That's nothing to worry about. So I got to have some time to set it to, and sometimes the internet just doesn't work as you thought it was going to be. Attendance policy. I don't have an attendance policy in this course, so if you need to miss for whatever reason, some of you will be in athletics, some of you will be on student ambassadors, things like that. You need to miss. Well, one, I'm recording the lecture, so you can go and watch the lecture on your own. And two, I don't have an attendance policy because I recognize sometimes things happen. So I don't have extra credit. So, all right. So now let's get to the important stuff. Method of evaluation. All right. How the heck we get our grades? But before we do that, I want you to stand up, stretch, go meet somebody you don't know in the class, and say hi to them. And stand up, get a quick stretch. You've been sitting now for, oh, wait a minute. We've only been sitting 9 minutes. Never mind. I'm already in, this is my second class of the day. So I had a panic dream last night. I dreamt that I lectured all day and never went over one syllabus. I just walked in and started lecturing. So, all right, sorry about that. We've been starting classes at 9:30 for about 5 years now, and I'm still not used to it. Okay, so now let's pay attention to how the heck do we get our grades. I got to find my Surface Pro pen. How did I lose my pen on day one? Unbelievable. Check my pockets. Oh, stuck to my new phone. Got me the iPhone 14. I'm now as cool as my college students. So, all right, method evaluation, the important stuff. How the heck we get our grades? All right, first off, we are going to have homework. I'm old. I do an old school system. My system, I like to assign homework. I post the homework in Canvas, and the due dates are in Canvas. The due date times are always at 11:59 p.m., but just don't panic if you get it in before class. That's still on time. All right. I assign homework at least per section. Sometimes I might give 2 or 3 assignments per section. It's expected that you spend 1 to 2 hours on homework per assignment. Now, this is Calc 1. Some of these assignments might even be a little more than that, especially the early ones. Some of these can be tough. All right. I highly recommend not to search for the answers on the internet. Don't do Chegg. I don't know if you know what Chegg is. It's a system you can pay. It's about $30 a month, and they'll tutor you online, and they'll basically show you how to do every problem. But it's just not quite the skill set you want. Plus, it's expensive. Rely on your textbook, your instructor, your fellow classmates. Really recommend studying with classmates in Calc 1. And homework due dates are on Canvas. All right. So how do I collect homework? I'm changing this slightly. I collect homework now with one of two ways. Let's see here. And I still got a little tweaking here. You may be required to scan your homework as a PDF and post through Canvas. All right. And I still need to change this sentence. I thought I did all the tweaking, but I see I didn't get it changed there. Homework collected one of two ways. Submitting as a PDF through Canvas by the due date. All right. So you scan it and you post it as a PDF. Now, some of you are going to be using one of these things, right? A half computer. You guys don't know these are half computers? They have no keyboard. They're a half computer. So, come on, that's my first new bad dad joke of the year. So you got it fixed. So Tristan finally realized, I got to laugh at his jokes here. He'll try more of them. So some of you may be doing your homework on tablets. So you can do it on tablet. So you're going to submit it what? Electronically through Canvas. This is the preferred method, posting through Canvas. You can also submit it in the class that day after the homework's due. So the homework's due Tuesday night, 11:59 p.m. That means what? We're going to talk about it on Wednesday. So you don't get it scanned in for whatever reason, or you just don't know how to scan it that day. You can bring it to class that day on paper and submit it on paper. Unlined paper, lines make math swim for me, and no fringed edges. So if you tear it out of a notebook, you got to cut off those edges because they only vacuum my office once a semester and they build up. So, all right, so I collect homework one of two ways. First way is electronically. So if you're going to use your tablet, you can do it and submit it electronically. Those times are 11:59 p.m., but we're not going to sweat that 11:59 p.m. because you're just like getting started at 11 o'clock at night because Leno's on, and that's dating myself there too. I could have said Johnny Carson. And you get it posted at 1 o'clock because that's your best study time. That doesn't matter to me. All right, you just don't feel like posting it for whatever reason. You're gonna what? Bring it to class that day on pencil and on paper and submit it via in class. All right. Okay. And I'm really big on the no line space. By the way, so here is my zone. So when I get over here, I'm not on camera. But if you need free paper, keep a healthy stack of free paper over here. And I keep a healthy stack of free paper in the Mac as well. And it's vintage paper. It's older than anybody in this room except probably two of us. So it's a long story. I'll tell it. I'm sure I'll tell it sometime this semester. All right. And the lowest 5 homework grades are dropped for whatever reason. So I don't really like to deal with why you missed, all that stuff. First off, it's often too personal, So you had that bad breakup with your significant other and you missed an assignment. Well, you have a few times to miss, so it's not going to punish you. My system really doesn't punish you. All right, how do I grade my homework? One of 3 scores. First score, 5 points, full point. So each homework assignment is worth 5 points, 5 out of 5. How do you get a 5 out of 5? College level work, meaning you have answers with supporting work. You just didn't write down the final answer, you showed me your supporting work. I should be able to kind of read your homework and tell what the problem is without having to go back and reference the book. Your homework should tell a story. Demonstration of the mastery of the major concepts. Handwritten. There was an app out there a while ago that was like typing up the homework for students. I had a student try that. and that just doesn't work. So unless you have a generally reason why you have to type it, I prefer handwritten anyway. So, all right. So does that say you got to get all the problems right? Does that say you got to get all the problems? No, it doesn't say you have to have all the problems. You got to do your homework, demonstrate you understood basically all the concepts. Maybe you missed, 2 plus 3 can become 6 so often, especially as we get older. Those mistakes happen. What I want you doing is doing your homework, not relying on apps to give you the answer. When you can't get the answer, come in and ask questions about the homework. I used to use my math lab, but what I found was I didn't get the questions. And I need you to ask me questions because that tells me what you understand and what you don't understand. That tells me the little algebra tricks, and calculus has a lot of little algebra tricks that you don't remember or you weren't exposed to the right way because algebra changes over the years, and calculus has some little algebra tricks along the way that need to be explained. So I need you doing your homework legitimately and coming in asking questions for me so that we can interact. So I don't keep track of all the different ones. Most of them I assign odd. You look up the answers in the back of the book yourself. Is that going to be your question? I'm pretty freeform. Ponytail, beaded necklace, shorts, first day of class. I did wear a collar today, but that's like the collared shirt for the semester. So, yeah, I like creativity. So there will be other teachers that will teach you forms. So, all right, that was an awesome question, by the way. So, okay, then you can get a 1 out of 5. So what's a 1 out of 5? Sloppy or illegible work. Now, sloppy and illegible has to be really sloppy, really illegible. I've been doing this for a long time. I can read a lot of handwriting. Incomplete assignment. That's not, oh, I got stuck on this problem, I didn't finish this problem. That's like, oh, I assigned 5 problems over this one, and you did like 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 7. You missed a big chunk of that. That will get you a 1. A lack of a major understanding of major concepts. So you didn't miss one problem, you missed like all the problems over this concept. That will get you a 1 out of there. And I'll tell you, hey, you got to come in, you got to study this concept again, go back and watch the videos, whatever. Missing supporting work to justify the answer. So you should have work to justify your answers. Some won't, and I know which ones don't need any work. I've been doing this for a long time. But you don't really have the work. It looks like you literally just copied the answers out of what? The back of the book. Or you copied them off your neighbors as we were coming into class. And just not enough detail. It's important we develop our detail in Calculus 1 for those that go on to take Calculus 2 and Calculus 3. All right, and then you can get a 0. And you get a 0, well, obviously you get a 0 if you don't turn it in. You get a 0 if a huge chunk of the problems are not started. I'll give you an example. I think I had signed like 1 through 15 the odds, and the student literally wrote problem 1 and wrote, I'm stumped. And it was like, I think that was, you basically didn't do anything. So first off, not all the problems, just because you don't do number 1 doesn't mean you couldn't do 3 or 5 or anything. So, and the scanned documents are not readable, or if you turn it in on paper, you got fringed edges. All right, so we have homework. Your homework grade, if you're doing your homework, you're going to get basically 100% on your homework grade. Those who don't do the homework, this will punish you because it is 15% of the grade. We'll see that coming up. Quizzes. We will have weekly quizzes. I try to give them on Wednesdays in this class because I know I'll have some athletes gone on Fridays. So generally on Wednesdays, I will announce them. I'll tell you, hey, we're going to have a quiz on Wednesday. It's going to be over this topic. It's going to be over this assignment. So you'll know what to study and what to prepare for. So they're not pop quizzes. I'm not going to walk in and be in a bad mood that day and say, I'm giving everybody a quiz because that makes me feel better. That's not me. So, and they're 10-point quizzes. They count 20% in the final grade. And at the end of the semester, I drop the 2 lowest quiz grades. So sometimes I'll catch you on a quiz. It happens. and I dropped the 2 lowest for any reason. So, and the lowest missed quizzes generally for absences, school event, school illnesses, emergencies, things like that, and so forth. Generally, I'm pretty liberal on my makeups, unless, when have I not given a student a makeup quiz? Let's say I gave a quiz on Wednesday, that student wasn't there. They came to class on Friday, didn't even talk to me about making up the quiz. They were hoping I'd give back the quiz on Friday, go over it so they could see what the quiz was over. I came to class on Monday, didn't give the quiz back. They didn't wait. They didn't contact me Tuesday. I think I waited till Friday the next week. So and then I gave the quiz back. And then right after class, that student come up, can I take the quiz now? Well, I waited a week and a half for that student. I graded them. I went over the solutions in class. One, it's not fair to the other students because now he's seen that topic and he's seen what I might ask. And 2, the other students took it on time. And 3, I got to write a makeup quiz. That's about the only time. So, so you really have to push it not to get quizzes made up. So, projects. We'll have some computer projects. These will be using GeoGebra. Anybody used GeoGebra before? 1, 2, 3. All right. Where did you use GeoGebra at? Your high school math? Who's your high school math teacher? Your homeschool. Well, good for your mom to use GeoGebra. Who else used where did you use GeoGebra? All right. And one other person as well. So Brian, I know you used it in my class last night. GeoGebra is a wonderful free software. It has beautiful graphing technology in it. I don't allow graphing calculators in this class, 1, because they're expensive, and 2, their graphs aren't that high quality. GeoGebra graphs are high quality and can be imported into Word documents and so forth. And it's free. So we will use GeoGebra along the way. And so those problems that I would have 10, 15 years ago made my students do on graphing calculators, and half of them complained because the technology wasn't that good and we spent all that money for a graphing calculator for like 10 problems, are replaced now using GeoGebra. So exams, we'll have 4 exams throughout the semester. I typically give you about a week notice when the exams are going to pop up, and we do a little study before the exams. And they're 100 points, and exams are weighted 60 in the final. So makeup policy exams, school approved activities, illnesses, things like that, and same basic thing on that. I can't remember the last time I didn't give a makeup exam because, 1, to me, not giving a makeup exam is like a death sentence to your grade. So, I can feel with good conscience not giving you a makeup quiz exams. I have a problem with my conscience on that one. So, all right. And then in the end, our grades will be based off of exams. I weight the exam 60%, so most of our grade is still the exams. It's important we get ready for exams. And I do not drop any exam grades. Quizzes, 20% there. We'll have roughly between 8 and 10 quizzes. I dropped the lowest 2 quizzes. So it's important we do well on quizzes, but we don't have to have absolutely everyone perfect, but it's nice. And usually our student grades for quizzes are good. Usually your quiz grades are higher than your exam average, so these usually bring you up. Homework's 15%. This is usually good for everybody. Usually about 100% of you get almost all the points. If you don't do your homework, 15% is a 1.5 grade. So if you totally blow off your homework and think that, I can just get A's on all the exams, well, it's a 1.5 grade off that. So. And then the project's 5%, so which is a 0.5 grade. So you need to still do those projects. So, all right, and standard 90, 80, 70, and so forth. So, all right, questions about how you get your grade. So what's going to happen every week? We're going to have homework due. Homework will be due any night of the week, just depending on the flow of the course. So there's no standard day. Those will be posted in Canvas. Then we're going to have quizzes. Those will typically fall on Wednesdays, not absolutely guaranteeing every Wednesday. It may occasionally happen on a Friday. The one day that I try not to give quizzes or exams are on Mondays for lots of reasons. And let's see, then exams, usually about a week notice, a week and a half notice, and 4 times a semester. So any questions about that standard stuff? All right. And our major units of study, 2 through 5. So we start in chapter 2 today, and we end in chapter 5. The rest of this is all boilerplate stuff, and so forth. Somewhere along the way, and this is a new syllabus template, and I still haven't gotten used to it, so somewhere along the way we didn't talk about calculators. All right, so let's talk about calculators. I don't allow graphing calculators in California because we're learning how to graph using calculus, so I don't allow graphing calculators. I have a set of these TI-30XS multi-views, which I highly recommend these. And then, I'm going to borrow yours here, Brian. I think, yes, the TI-36X Pro. This is what the engineering professor is recommending for his students. He's not allowing graphing calculators as well. So this is what the engineering professor recommends. So if you're going into engineering, I recommend buying this one. It's still about $20, $25, right? Very similar to this one. This has a little bit more scientific. They run very similar. I like this one. I don't have a copy of this one on my computer. I have the emulator of this one on my computer, so I can pull this one up in class. So sorry, those of you that your high school teacher made you buy the TI-84. I don't know why they still make you buy the graphing calculators in high school, because we've all kind of gone away from them in college. Anybody still had to buy them in high school? Just one? Oh, we're getting fewer. So we're getting fewer. So, and I just found out this is the recommended one for the engineering students. So he was telling us, don't make the students buy graphing calculators. Like, I haven't made them buy graphing calculators in like 15 years. So, and I was in the first generation of teachers to use graphing calculators. So I've gone full circle. So, all right. So now let me go to the course website here real quick. Oh, no, we've only been sitting 30 minutes. So let me go to the course website real quick. Unfortunately, when I move to the mainstream computer, this doesn't get recorded. Everything I record is on my Surface Pro. So here's our course website. Make sure I'm in the right course here. So we do have our first assignment posted here. And it's section 2.1. It's due August 23rd. So what is that? 23rd Wednesday night. Why did I pick Wednesday night? I'll probably change that to Thursday night because we don't meet on Thursday. So, all right. And then we have our second assignment posted as well. I don't keep a lot in Canvas, but you'll have your announcements there. You'll have your modulars there, and wrong mouse. And you do have your grades. You can check your grades there. If I open it up, unfortunately, I think I'll show everybody's names and stuff, so I won't. And the simple syllabus, you can click on that. And you should be able to download your simple syllabus. So I recommend as students you hang on to your syllabuses electronically. Calculus 1, not as big as problem, but I do recommend you hang on your syllabus. When I applied to grad school, I didn't hang on to my syllabuses in one school I wanted to go to. Not only did they want syllabus, not only did they want to know what courses I took, they wanted to know the name of every textbook I used in every class. And if you don't have your syllabus, it's hard to go back and find that information. So recommend download them and save them electronically in the cloud so you have them long term. So, but you can download the syllabus and so forth. So, all right. So let me go back to this now. Okay, bear with me a second. Actually, now we can stand up. You've been sitting for now 30 minutes, not 5 minutes. So now stand up, go say hi to somebody you don't know, get a quick stretch. If you need to get a Snapchat in or a Facebook in or a MySpace in, get that in as well.
From Spring University. Nice. That is your Thursday goal. That's right, this last two. I'm saying earlier than this. That's impressive. You guys want this? Engineering? Don't know yet? You'll figure it out. You got a lot of time ahead of you. That's cool, probably.
All right. Go ahead and sit back down. We usually try to take a little break somewhere along the way because 75 minutes is a long time. So, okay. So let's get started. We're going to start in section 2.1 today. And let's talk about what is calculus. All right. And calculus is an area of mathematics that does two things. Measures change. Make sure I wrote change and not chance. It measures change. All right. Doctors sometimes, anybody in the medical fields here? You have any pre-meds? Often I'll have a pre-med or two in here and they wonder why they're in Calculus 1. Because they need to understand how things change, like how how drugs interact in bloodstreams, how they're changing in there. And they need to understand how things are changing. Engineers need to understand how things are changing, you know, how motion is changing, and so forth. So we need to be able to measure change. All right? And then the other thing we do is we need to add things up. Maybe I'm an engineer and I'm looking at all the forces on a dam wall. Well, I got to add up all those forces to find the total force on that dam wall. Well, that's a lot of things to add up. So calculus does two things for us. It measures change and adds things up. Most of this semester is going to be spent on measuring change. And then right at the end of this semester, we'll get to start adding things up. But before we can do either one of those things, we need the concept of a limit. And chapter 2 is all about understanding limits. Okay. Let's take an example. Going to be happening here soon. Snowstorms, right? So let's say I'm driving in a snowstorm, my big old Suburban. Loved it. Wished I still had it. And I drove 100 miles in 2 hours. You know, blinding snowstorm, 100 miles, 2 hours. That's about right for me. Maybe 1 hour. All right. What is my average speed? Well, my average speed is often thought of as distance divided by time. So my distance was 100 miles. my time was what? 2 hours. 100 goes into 2. These are nice numbers for obvious reasons. That would be what? 50 miles per what? Hour. So, did my speedometer always read 50 miles per hour? No, that's my average. There might have been times I was going 80, right? Because it was clear. I could see the concrete there. And then times I slowed down to like 5 miles an hour because I couldn't see 3 feet in front of me, right? We ever driven like from here to Evanston and you hit some of those spots, or here to Rollins, you hit some of those spots. And so while my average was 50, my instantaneous speed or my instantaneous velocity may have changed. So the next thing we want to talk about is we want to go to our next example, and let's talk about average velocity. So all I wanted us to get out of that concept was your average is not always going to be this. You're not, just because you have an average of 50, that doesn't mean you're always going 50 miles an hour. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, but in the net, we average 50. All right, so let's go to average velocity. And velocity and speed are related. We'll talk more about that. From physics, there's a pretty famous formula, and that is S of t equals minus 16t squared plus 96t. This is particle motion. And later in Calc 2, we'll derive this formula, and in physics, you also will derive this. College physics. Okay, so this is for a rocket. So we have this rocket here, and it's going to go up, and then what? Gravity is going to make it what? Come back down. All right, see the rocket going up, coming back down. All right, its height is modeled by this formula here. And if you remember from your college algebra days or your algebra days, that's what? A parabola opening what? Down, goes up, comes back down, related to gravity. Okay. Let's find the average rate of change of the function on the interval 1 to 3. I'll give you a chance to get that caught up. If you do not have a calculator or want to play along, you may come grab a calculator. Okay, let everybody get caught up here. Okay, so first off, let's just do a formula here. So in general, the average rate of change of a function f of x over the interval AB. So this is what I am defining. The average rate of change of a function. By the way, FNC, for those who haven't had me before, that is my shorthand for function. So FNC is for function. All right. This is a formula. And the formula is this. The average is equal to f of b minus f of a over b minus a. Anybody seen that formula before? Well, it's the quotient difference quotient, yep. It's also what? Slope of a line, right? Difference of the y's over what? Difference of the x's. So this is the slope formula that you studied before, but now what happens is you have this function, you have point A here, You have point B here. And what you're doing is the slope equals the average rate of change. So we're using slope. And this here is referred to as the secant line. Secant line goes through 2 points, at least 2 points. Could go through more, 2 right around where we're interested at. Okay, let you get caught back up. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to rewrite that function down here so we don't have to scroll back up. And we were first asked to find the average on the interval 1 to 3. So what is this average going to be? Well, I'm going to go ahead and write average. Now, notation-wise, I like to go ahead and put a 1, 3 here, just so I know what I'm doing here, what interval that we're talking about a lot. And what is this going to be? This is going to be S of 3 minus S of 1. And where did this 3 and this 1 come from? That was the interval we were given. And then it's going to be over 3 minus 1. So what do we need to do? We need to figure out what S of 3 is. We need to figure out what S of 1 is. So let's go ahead and find S of 3 and find S of 1 as some scratch work. So we're going to put 3 into this formula, and we're going to put 1 into this formula. And we're going to divvy this task up. All right. S of 3. These 2 rows here, you guys find what S of 3 is. The height at 3 seconds. The rest of you, you get 1. Put in 1 into the function there and come up with the value. And I'll take care of the denominator. 3 minus 1 is 2. And then check with your neighbors. Everybody understand our task? We're plugging in our values. And you don't have to write all that out. You don't have to show me, here's what I don't need to see. I don't need to see minus 16 times 3 squared plus 96 times 3 unless you need to do that. I need to do that so I'm consistent. Some of you are used to just putting it in your calculator. And then check with your neighbors, because I'm going to use your answers. I don't know the answers, so you guys got to check with your neighbors. I divvy out these mundane tasks to you guys. 1, because I don't go through them so fast. And 2, it just saved me writing in my notes. So check with your neighbors. Make sure we got S of 3 right. And make sure we got S of 1 right. All right, S of 3. Way in the back there. Guy rocking the ponytail. What was your name again? Mark? What was S of 3? 144? Thank you. And what does that really mean? That rocket at 3 seconds had hit a height of what? 144 feet. Then what was S of 1? The gentleman rocking the Columbia t-shirt here. What's your name?
Alex.
Alex? What's S of 1? 80. So at 1 second it was at 80 feet, and then at 3 seconds it's 144 feet. So maybe it hasn't started coming back yet, or maybe it has. Hard to tell. All right. 144 minus 80, I can do that one in my head. That is what, 64 over 2. So that would be what, 32. And then let's talk about the units. And I didn't tell you the units here. S was in feet and T was in seconds. So what would the units here be? 32 feet per second. So the average change over that time interval was what? 32 feet per second. Okay. Now, let's find the average on the interval 1 to 2. So what is that going to become now, class? That's going to be S of 2 minus S of 1 over 2 minus 1. Did S of 1 change? No. So we need to find S of 2. So everybody find me S of 2. Make sure we agree on S of 2. You need a college tattoo last semester? Oh, you had it, okay. Oh, look at you going. So S of 2. All right. Your name again was? Yep.
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
I'm hard of hearing too. I should point that out.
Yes.
Katie. What was your answer? S of 2.
128.
128? 128? So we get 128 minus what? 80? Over what? 1. 128 minus 80 is what? 48. And dividing by 1 is just what? 48. So what would that units be there? Feet per second. So is its average higher? It is, right? So it changed its location by 48 feet per second over that interval. And it's going faster over that interval. So what's happening? It's starting what? Slowing down, right? What's making it slow down? Gravity. All right. So now let's narrow this down. Let's find the average now from 1 to 1.1. So what is that going to be now? That's going to be S of what? 1.1 minus 80 over 1.1 minus what? 1. You crank that one up. Are you doing those all by hand? Wow, old school decimals over here. I'll just crank this one out as well. Give me a second while you do your calculation. By the way, if you get a calculator that isn't working, don't put it back in the stack. Let me know because they're getting old. We're replacing the batteries. So. What was it? Minus plus 96t. So this was what? 86.24? right? Did I get that right? 86.24 minus 80. So that's 6.24 over 0.1. So that's 62.4. And that's feet per what? Second. All right, so notice that's what? A little faster, right? Well, why is that a little faster? Well, that's the time interval from what? 1 to what? 1.1. Well, it's faster because the other ones was going up higher and gravity was what? Slowing it down. So that's why that one was a little faster. So now, how fast is the rocket traveling at exactly 1 second? So now we're not talking about an average, we're talking about the instantaneous change. And this is the part that we're trying to figure out how calculus does for us. So this is our building point. So for now, though, we don't have a lot to go on with other than our average rate of change formula. So let's say we're looking at our interval now. And our interval is going to be from 1 to 1 plus h, where h, we'll make h being positive, and h gets close to 0. So the closer h becomes 0, that means what? These two are getting closer and closer to the same value of what? 1. Okay, so now let's find our average rate of change formula. Well, that's going to be s of 1 plus h minus s of 1 over 1 plus h minus 1. I use that same slope formula, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Give you a chance to get caught up again. S of 1, we already know, that's what, 80, right? One's down here cancels, so we get what, an h down there. And then up here, let's just go ahead and write out, and let me just recall what the formula again. It was s of t is minus 16 t squared plus what, 96t. Plus 96. All right, so we got to do what, s of 1 plus h. So let's do s of 1 plus h. That's going to be minus 16, 1 plus h squared, plus 96, 1 plus h. Okay. We're going to roll up our sleeves here and get grungy. So we ready to roll up our sleeves? What are we going to have to do here? We're going to have to what? Square this out. And let me just remind you that 1 plus h squared does not equal 1 squared plus h squared. Thou shalt not distribute powers across sums and differences. They just don't play nice. So when we square out 1 plus h squared, I'll let you go ahead and square it out. I'll give you a chance, or if you know the quick formula, use the quick formula. Go ahead and square that out. My mom. I made my kid take Calc 1 and Calc 2 for me, and then he was like, oh, when you went to the university, if you failed his math classes, I felt like the pressure was on me instead of him. And when you square it out, what do you get? 1 plus 2h plus what? H squared, right? And if you know that quick formula, we're going to square a lot of things out in college algebra or calculus. It's nice to know the quick formula. The quick formula is first term squared, then this times this doubled, and then the last term squared. So this will become what? Minus 16 1 plus 2h plus h squared, and let's distribute the 96 through. I get 96 plus 96h. And I'm just doing some scratch work. We'll take this back up in the formula in a second. Let's distribute the negative 16 through. So I get negative 16 minus 32h minus 16h squared. I've distributed the negative 16 through there, making sure I did it correctly. And we still get the 96 and the 96h. Oh, and by the way, I do make mistakes. I'm getting old. I make more mistakes now than I ever used to. If you catch a mistake early, that is awesome because you don't want to have to erase a bunch of things. So if you notice I made a mistake on the board, it doesn't hurt my feelings. It generally makes me feel good if you catch the mistakes sooner than later. All right, so now what do we notice? First off, minus 16 plus 96, those add up to 80. I get minus 16h squared from there. Minus 32h plus 96h, that is what? 96 minus 32, 64. Somebody, did that sound right? Thank you. And then we get what? Plus 80. So this was some scratch work on the side. Let everybody get caught up. And then what did I really do? I just found this here, which was what? This little piece right there. So let's take that in. That's going to go right here. So what was that again? That was, let me see if I remember it. It was minus 16h squared. It was plus 64h plus 80. Then we get minus 80. I'll let everybody get caught up again, and I'll make sure we understood what I did there. So what I did there was I took the average rate of change formula and I replaced the 1 in with 1 plus h. I figured out what that was using the function. I found s of 1, and then what I did some, oh, now we're going to do some simplifying. Anybody see anything that will cancel? 80s. The 80s cancel. And then after that, do you see anything else? Is everything divisible by h? Yeah, it is, right? So this gets nice. So let's divide everything by h. So we end up with minus 16h plus what? 64. Okay. Now, technically, what value can't we use for h in this formula? Technically, we can't use h cannot be 0. Why is that? Well, if mathematicians were in charge, what would be the first commandment? Thou shalt not divide by 0. But I'm not in charge, so it's not even a commandment. But it would be one if I was in charge. But I am not in charge of anything but this classroom. All right, so we can put anything really close to that. All right, so now let's get out our TI-34 here. And unfortunately, I don't have one on my tablet. I need to, but I'll get it out on here. So when I go to the computer, I often don't get to get it recorded because I'm only actually recording the tablet. And let's build a little table here. Clear. So I like to, one of the reasons I like this is this calculator has a nice table. So I'm going to go to the table here. I'm going to hit table. And I already have something in there. I'm going to go ahead and clear that out. And I'm going to type in this function here. And instead of using h, we're going to have to replace it with another variable. We're going to use x. So I'm going to type in this function. I get y equals. I'm going to type in a negative 16x. The variables are right down here. Minus 16x plus what? 64? Okay. And now I hit enter, and that took me to where do I want to start at? All right. Right now I have it starting at 1. That seems like a good spot. And more importantly here, nobody's taking my stick, or I put my thing on. All right, you front row people. Oh, that's one too big. Now watch out now, because you get swinging away. So, best part about COVID, teaching with a face mask, I did not nail one student with phlegm that year. All right, so it's best to have it on this ask right here, because then we control our input. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just hit enter, enter, and enter, and enter. All right, and oops. I always forget to reset my table, so delete. Right, I should have cleaned up my computer there. Okay, so what have we built now? We have built a formula for the average rate of change starting at 1 and going out to 1 plus h. Now I've built a formula. When I built the formula, sometimes I like to check it with an already known answer. And we do know an answer. Let me get back to our answer here. We know from 1 to 1.1, the answer was what? 62.4. So let's come to our calculator now. Type in 1.1 and see, does it match up with our work? And we cross our fingers, because if it doesn't, then I've screwed something up. 1.1. Hit enter. I definitely screwed. I came up with 46.4. Did I have this number wrong?
That's what I got, 46.4, but that doesn't mean I'm right, though. You don't laugh.
No, I'm talking about this number right here. Go back and look at your 1.1 work. Did I write that one down wrong? $86.24. All right, so we have a mistake in our work. All right, so back up here a second. I apologize. Usually I don't have a mistake on day one. I'm really getting right. All right, so we have a mistake a little bit in our work. So let's pause here. I plugged in 1 plus h. Let's look here. Because they should match up, and they definitely did not match up. So I squared this out. I distributed negative 16. Negative 16 minus 32h minus 16h squared plus the 96 plus the 96h. Minus 16h squared. That and that made an 80. 96 minus 32 is 64. I'm positive on that. So then I plugged that in up there. Minus 16h plus 64. The 80s canceled. I will have to. There is something wrong with our formula. Okay. So we're sitting here spinning. I'm not going to spin any longer. We're going to call it a day here. But before we do this, we'll come back and finish this. Occasionally I do make a mistake. And in Calculus 1, when you make mistakes, sometimes they're hard to see. And this is going to bug me for a second because they should match up. And I will go back through this. All right. First off, do we have any questions about the course? Any questions? All right. So I forgot to ask, did the bookstore have enough books for everybody that wanted a hard copy? How many bought the hard copy? How many bought the e-copy? How many haven't gotten their book yet? Yeah, that's what most of you. So, all right. So get your book. We do have a small assignment coming up. I think I haven't posted Wednesday, but I must have been thinking my 1450 class. I'll change that to Thursday. Because there's no point having homework due Wednesday because we don't meet, Thursday. So that was my bad there. So, all right, any questions? Sorry, we're in the middle of this, but this is the cliffhanger. You have to come back to see, one, where I screwed up, because I definitely have a screw up here, and that doesn't bug me, that happens. And two, the riveting conclusion of this story. All right, we'll see you there. Thanks for coming to class. Sorry about a mistake on day one. I was going to try to save it to day 2.
Our due dates are going to be a lot like last semester. right?
What's that?
Homework due dates. Like
Yeah.
with me working and stuff. Remember
Yeah.
last year?
Yeah.
A day late or something. I
I don't sweat the home. I really don't.
did change up my work schedule. I'm
Did you?
not 4 to 4 anymore. Now I'm like noon to midnight.
All right.
I should be here early enough.
Good.
It's good seeing you, Chuck.
Yep. Thanks for coming back.
Yes, sir.